Mineral sector, with its long history, was one of the major attractions for colonialism. It was with the proceeds of mining and other essential minerals that the economy was maintained and industrial resources acquired while colonialism lasted and until after independence. Solid minerals were the mainstay of the economy before the discovery of oil in commercial quantities. Organized mining activities in Nigeria started with the commissioning in 1903 and 1904 of the mineral surveys of the Southern and Northern Protectorates by the British Secretary of the State for the Colonies. Today, Nigeria is endowed with 44 different mineral types in varying commercial quantities scattered in more than 450 different locations across the country. This suffices to say that there is no state or local government in Nigeria that is not endowed with one mineral type or the other. In view of this, mining can be carried out in virtually all the states of the Federation, thereby offering all the benefits and potentials of the solid mineral sector for Nigerians if maximally harnessed. That is our focus today on Dateline 360 as we visit different locations across the country to examine the solid mineral potentials in Nigeria. I am Lydia Odidi-Ochi. Thank you for joining us. Feasibility studies confirm that coal is a major solid mineral in Nigeria. Nigeria has about 3 billion tons of coal reserves in 17 identified coal fields. However, only about 6 million tons or proven reserves are available. Benue, Ondo, Nasarawa, Plateau, and Zamfara states also have large deposits of coal. Also, Nigeria was at one point in time the largest world producer of tin and columbite. Coal and tin ranked high as Nigeria's foreign exchange earner during the colonial period and after the country's independence in 1960. Other minerals like limestone, gold, marble, clay, amongst others, were mined too for local consumption. Even today, these solid minerals still command high prices in the global market. The commercial value of Nigeria's solid minerals has been estimated to run into hundreds of trillions of dollars. It has also been estimated that Nigeria loses about 40 billion US dollars annually in unexploited gold alone. The prosperity of any nation is often directly linked to its utilization of resources, both human and material. With the abundance of solid mineral deposits in Plateau State, one would expect a boost in the economic development of the state, but this is not the case. Ruth Ario Samuel, in this report, tries to find out why.
Plateau State is known for tin mining, but over the years, other mineral deposits like emerald, marble, granite, columbite, lead, and bauxite, among others, have been discovered, which are at various stages of exploration. However, development in this sector is done by informal and artisanal miners who lack the appropriate technology and funds to carry out the exploration in a sustainable manner.
The ordinary people don't have the resources and don't have sometimes the qualified people and educated people to go and read this.
Plateau State, which is considered as the hub of solid mineral deposits in the country, cannot boast of gainfully harnessing the potentials in this sector.
We don't have data for the removal of most of these minerals here because, you see, most of them are done, we can rightly say, illegally. So it is not captured.
The consequence is that the state depends solely on revenue from the Federation account, which has affected negatively the pace of economic development of the state.
We have to do a lot of testing of the materials to make sure that they are of added value. By producing steel, to be exporting the steel than just exporting the minerals.
With a registered association of private miners, the story of mining on the plateau is hoped to take a turn in the right direction to bring about development and growth in the resources of the state.
It's a capital-intensive business, and so long as you do not have financing in that industry, financing existing players, especially those ones that are licensed and they are operating at maybe medium scale, should be financed. And once they are able to get financed, they can get equipment. These equipments will enhance their productivity.
It is no doubt that the mining industry has the potential to become the principal engine of economic growth of the state. Solid minerals is one of the major aspects of socio-economic development, which requires a strong will and patriotism that, if well harnessed or explored, can take Plateau State to greater heights.
The solid mineral sector, especially in Akwa Ibom State, seems not to be getting the desired attention. Edidiong Iba, in this report, takes a look at the challenges of this sector and the way forward.
Nigeria is a country that takes pride in the abundance of mineral resources, especially oil and gas. However, there are other numerous solid minerals which the country is also blessed with. These include coal, iron ore, gold, copper, zinc, bitumen, salt, limestone, and others. In Akwa Ibom State, deposits of these solid minerals are still found in different localities across the state. From the hills of Itu and in local government areas to the plains of Esinudum, almost every part in these areas of the state can boast of one solid mineral or the other. Although this is the case, the communities do not seem to be benefiting from these large deposits due to the somewhat neglect of the sector. Some respondents agree that if more investments are done and proper attention is paid to this sector, it may likely become a huge income earner, not just for the state, but the country at large.
Nobody knows what is happening to our stones. Nobody knows what is happening to our clays. These are sources of revenue that should be harnessed by government.
If much attention is paid to that area, we'll have enough external, added resources to really, move the state forward.
That would go a long way in making sure that communities and states really benefit from solid minerals in their territory.
On his part, the Akwa Ibom State Commissioner for Environment and Mineral Resources, Dr. Iniobong Essien, says the sector involves huge capital infrastructure, but assured that the state government has already carried out a geological survey to ascertain the sites of these deposits which can be commercially explored, calling on investors to cash in on the opportunity.
The federal government should come to the aid of the state by investing in the geophysical survey and quantification and the beneficiation of the materials to actually ascertain the level of and the quantity of the solid minerals, available in each of these sites, and then we should be able to attract the needed investors to the state.
There is optimistic expectations by all Nigerians that harnessing the solid mineral sector will play a major role in the diversification of the Nigerian economy.
Now, the people of Nasarawa State have so many things going for them. The 24-year-old state is endowed and successful in agriculture, as it also prides itself as the home of solid minerals because of obvious reasons. Now, beyond the appellation, participants, mostly artisanal miners, want more engagement by the government in promoting mining to provide more jobs and income generation for the country. Isa Mohammed reports from Lafia.
The road to prosperity can be rough and tough, but there is always light at the end of the tunnel. Like in agriculture, which is the main preoccupation of the people, tilling the land to get to the location of solid minerals is far more deeper.
I am standing in one of the pits of barytes in Azara.
Azara and Ajudu communities in Awe and Obi local government areas of the states have large deposits of barytes and lead. Barite is used as a component in crude oil exploration, and the miners say it's good business with the buyers around.
A lot of people were here. It is like a self-employment. If you look at hundreds of people are here, both men and women.
With little technology interface, miners of lead, zinc, and iron have to rely on manual works with a lot of risks in the process.
Lead you are seeing is contains silver. Yes, but we cannot differentiate it because we don't have the machineries here. So once we get it from the crude it is, that's how we sell it to people that come and buy. Yeah.
How is the patronage?
Lead zinc is very scarce because here in Nigeria, it's not everywhere you can get it. And even though you can get it, you can't get it in large quantity.
Anybody who said that as a local miner, you can be able to mine to a reasonable quantity is telling you a lie. Unless you get investors. It is the investors who will assist you, who knows the level of the mineral you can acquire.
Gold mining is prominent around Uke Aziz, close to Abuja, with officials saying high-priced tanzanite has also been found in the state.
They first discovered the first pocket, and they've gotten it, they've sold them, so they are still mining now.
Participants are urging government on building technology and finding to ensure solid minerals mining challenges are reduced to the minimum.
The discovery of coal deposits in Enugu, southeastern Nigeria, is not news. During the coal boom, little or no work was done by governments at that time to develop other solid minerals in the region. Susan Eze in this report says, though the situation has not changed much, as mining of coal ceased since the 1990s, which has reduced the economic hub of the state, it is anticipated that the commercialization and general reforms by government will lead to upsurge in exploration, quantification, and exploitation of solid minerals in Enugu and Nigeria.
During the coal boom era, from the time of coal discovery in 1909 to the gradual decline in mining activities, which eventually led to the closure in 2001, coal sustained the socio-economic life of the people in the southeast geopolitical zone. Beyond providing employment for many Nigerians, coal was used to power the Oji River power station that supplied electricity to the whole eastern region. The locomotive railway, as well as the first Nigeria cement company, Niger-Sem in Nkalago, were all powered with coal.
Coal was used to power the whole industry in Nigeria. It was coal that powered all the whole rails, all the trains that were conveying both the palm produce, both the pyramids, the granite pyramids in Kano, and the cocoa. It was coal that was used to transport all those things to the port so that they can be exported.
With the total collapse of the industry, thousands of jobs were lost, and many other benefits the nation derived from coal ended. Today, the once vibrant industry has become mere monumental archives, owing to government's neglect of mining because of oil. Experts are optimistic that coal can still be a great source of revenue for the nation as it can serve the power and other sectors.
Coal contains carbon, it contains oxygen, it contains nitrogen, it contains hydrogen. So all these companies that make use of these gases in their production of one product or the other, they make use of it.
Environmental experts, however, suggest environmental impact assessment to ensure safety of both man and the environment.
During the mining, there were drill holes. These drill holes are affecting our landscape. And I think there's need to reclaim this land.
Although the nation's coal industry faces daunting challenges ranging from finding market for the product, reducing cost of production through mechanization, and establishing a cost-effective transportation system, The general call is for federal and state governments to pursue a comprehensive program of resuscitation of the coal industry through private sector participation.
It is expected that sooner than later, practical attention will be given to this all-important mineral as an alternative source of energy and income for Nigeria, away from oil.
Now, Bauchi State is one of the northeastern states endowed with huge solid mineral deposits. However, what remains a source of concern for many is how to exploit the minerals for the good of Nigeria in general and the mining communities in particular, as enshrined in the Mining Act. Adamu Haruna Adams reports that the latest discovery in the state is that of gold at Gadabu community of Toro local government area, which has attracted hundreds of illegal miners from within and outside the country.
As it is, unless government swiftly intervenes to ensure sanity and proper organization of the mining activities at Gadabu Gold Mining Community and other mining communities in Bauchi State, artisanal miners and their so-called sponsors will continue to deprive the mining community, Bauchi State, and the country at large of drivable benefits such as royalties, 13% derivation, and necessary community development projects, among others. Since the discovery of gold at Gadabu Mining Community early 2018, informal miners from states like Zamfara, Niger, Taraba, Edo, Kogi, Kano, and even neighboring countries of Niger Republic and Chad continue to troop the community for gold mining, which they obviously do at the expense of governments and the mining community.
Bauchi State is endowed with a lot of minerals, both metallic and non-metallic, that are begging for appropriate and legitimate exploitation for the development of Nigeria.
Mining companies that claim to have obtained both exploration and small-scale mining licenses from the federal governments to carry out exploration and legitimate mining activities at the community say all efforts to restrain the illegal miners and their sponsors prove abortive.
Of the huge number, there was nothing we could do about it. We complained to all the various securities agencies.
The mineral goes to their sponsors and their so-called dealers.
All we need is support from government. So if you have this support, everything will be easy.
Really, the issue of Gadabu is an issue of illegal activities that is done by some people we call nomadic miners.
Moreover, stakeholders in the mining subsector also underscore Nigeria's mining potentials, adding that if the federal government can give requisite support and attention to the subsector, it can replace oil.
The mineral potential of Nigeria is wow, as long as people who are involved mine legally, pay government fees rightly, and do things in the right way. But for Nigeria, we are loaded with solid minerals.
Countries like China, Canada, United States of America, you have deep involvement of government agencies partaking in the activities. And until you have such agencies coming in to actually support us, then we will not have such an organized sector.
Notwithstanding legality or illegality of the mining activities, inhabitants of the community profess to be obsessed by the transient benefits they derive from the activities despite degradation of their environment. From excavation of pits to search for gold stones, to the points of crushing, grinding, and washing for the actual gold, many people benefit from the chain. The mining field, which is over 100 cadastral units, if properly harnessed, it is said to provide job opportunities for thousands of Nigerians.
What next? This is the question many oil-producing countries ask, including Nigeria. This informed the federal government in 2015 to check the records in the nation's solid mineral library, as it were, to make this sector an alternative source of revenue, or better still, complement the unpredictable revenue from the petroleum sector. Mia Ogidi, since then, has been following developments in this sector and now gives a progress report.
Nigeria, a country that was centrally placed on the global solid minerals map as a major producer of columbite, tin and coal in the 1940s, suddenly became an importer of these same minerals, no thanks to the discovery and shipment of crude oil in the late 1950s. With this development, the solid minerals sector was left to its own devices, receiving the treatment of an orphan, as it were, with an estimated 1 trillion naira every year, buried at the bowels of the mountains in the north and in the productive coal deposits in the east.
This situation has become unacceptable as government ordered the immediate development of both the upstream and downstream linkages of the industrial minerals value chain in this country.
Gladly, 2016 saw the reawakening of this money spinner as a roadmap was launched to give target and direction in the financial, environmental and administrative aspects in the solid minerals sector. These efforts did not go unnoticed, leading to the gracious release of an intervention fund to the sector by the federal government, $150 million from the World Bank, and another 5 billion naira jointly from the Bank of Industry and the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development to assist genuine miners and not portfolio-carrying contractors. Today, the solid minerals sector is the newest bride in the Nigerian business calendar, as the contribution to the GDP has grown from infinitesimal 0.1% to approximately 3%, with an appreciable growth rate from 10.07% in the last quarter of 2017 to 14.85% in the first quarter of 2018.
The period you need to wait before you have that profit is fairly long in the solid minerals.
The World Bank, that had earlier invested $150 billion, is committing another $125 million in the industrial minerals industry, while $730,000 for the upgrading of 6 cadastral offices in the 6 geopolitical zones of the country.
You cannot apply for licenses depending on the license you want online. It is going to be automated, and you don't need to come to our mining cadastral office in Abuja.
We also think that Nigeria is an attractive destination for foreign investment as well. And so we're working with the government to have a sort of proof of concept that big investors, mining companies can come to Nigeria and they can do well.
Now, kaolin, dimension stones and barytes are to be processed in Nigeria, while the aluminium smelter company in Akwa Ibom State and the Ajakuta Steel Company in Kogi State are coasting to full operation.
At a gap of 626,921 tons per annum do exist in the local production of industrial minerals required by the local industries, which is currently filled by annual importation, costing about $44.5 million.
3.5 billion naira was realized from the sector in 2017 alone, courtesy of the aggressive fight against unorganized mining, those in the driver's seat of the solid mineral sector in Nigeria. It is a safe and gradual ride.
These developments show that the solid mineral sector is poised for the phenomenal growth towards national development. That's about it on Dateline 360. Thanks for watching. Until next time, it's goodbye.
Hello and welcome. This is NTA Tuesday Live and I'm Cyril Stober.
Now, the aviation industry in Nigeria has in the last 3 years recorded some level of growth, especially in the areas of safety and security. Aviation watchers say the industry witnessed massive works on airports that have scaled up their rating. How well the sector has performed, its challenges and projections will be the focus in the second leg of our discussion tonight on NTA Tuesday Live. But first, it is a known fact that transportation is one of the critical elements for economic development in any country. And now this has received attention as reflected in West Africa's first light rail transit launched recently in Abuja, connecting the city center to the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. The second phase of the project is under construction that will link the satellite towns. There are other major achievements such as the second Niger Bridge, the Baro waterways, and setting up of dry ports like the Kaduna Inland Port. The monetary gains run into millions, contributing significantly to elevating the living standards of Nigerians. Now, going by the records, GDP from transport has increased. Now, tonight, what we'll be looking at is the projection, challenges, and how to consolidate on the gains. But first, let's get to see this report by Oyinaya Kaluoka.
Since 2015 to 2018 in the transportation sector. Now let's take a look at these figures. From 1999 to 2015, no railway project was completed. From 2015 to 2018, 2 railway projects have been completed. One is the Abuja-Kaduna Standard Railway, inaugurated in 2016, which has provided alternative means of transportation for hundreds of passengers. The Abuja Light Rail, inaugurated 2018, has changed the style of traveling within the city center and satellite towns, linking it to the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airports.
I really enjoy it. I always board the train to do every day for work.
Government have really done a very good job for giving us this metro train. It's convenient, the space, everything is just good.
The Abuja-Warri standard gauge rail line, abandoned for more than 30 years, is set for commercial activities as soon as the 12 modern stations are completed.
The project was abandoned, no functioning, nothing happened. We thank God. If Allah, subhanallah ta'ala, give him power to complete the project, everything will be done. Because transport from here to Warri, to Port Harcourt, it is, when you follow the road, it is a short way for us.
We are targeting Warri Takbe to start running passenger train too. And we hope we will have goods to move there. So people will drop at Itakbe, and there may be an arrangement with a personal person to a company to be hauling people from Itakbe to Abuja and Abuja to Itakbe station.
Then the Lagos-Ibadan standard gauge rail line is 60% completed. Not resting on its oars, federal government plans to extend the Itakbe-Ajaokuta-Warri rail line to Abuja. Also, the coastline from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri, passing through some eastern states to Damaturu, is on focus. Not forgetting the regional rail line to link Maradi in Niger Republic, which will boost economic activities along the ECOWAS region. Away from the railway subsector, let's take a look at the achievements in the maritime subsector. In the waterways, federal government has completed the dredging of the Baro ports in Niger State. Dredging of River Niger has been completed, while that of River Benue will commence soon. There have been success stories at the Nigerian Shippers Council, despite some challenges, as the council initiated several projects aimed at reviving the sector. The inauguration of the Kaduna Inland Dry Ports has assisted in reducing congestions experienced at the seaports.
It's been less stressful. Instead of going to Lagos, it has been cut short for me, that from here straight to abroad.
Since the port has been commissioned, we have seen a lot of impacts, and particularly as regards to exports. At least we are doing up to 10 to 20 exports in a day.
Work is at advanced stage at the Haipang Inland Dry Port in Jos Plateau State and Funtua Inland Dry Port in Katsina State.
A very big blessing from God. It's going to change the environment, the whole Master District and the whole Katsina State.
The Nigerian Ports Authority is another area that is not left out of this administration drive to reposition the transportation industry.
We have a situation where Nigeria is the destination for a lot of cargo. So the Nigerian market is the market. So while our ports need to be more competitive in terms of deploying, for example, single windows and ensuring that there's hastening cargo evacuation.
While the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, for the 4 years under President Muhammadu Buhari, witnessed total rebranding and emerged winner of the 2016 Public Organization of the Year. These achievements, many say, brought about massive employment, increase in revenue generation, and revolution in the transport sector in Nigeria.
All right, that report sets the tone for tonight's discussion. Let's introduce our guests. We'd like to welcome to this program the Minister of Transportation, Chibuike Rotimi Amici. Minister, thanks for being here.
Welcome.
Good. We're also here tonight with the Executive Secretary of the Nigeria Shippers Council, Hassan Bello. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Right. Let me also welcome the Managing Director of the National Inland Waterways, Senator Adeleke Olorunimbe Mamura. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
All right. We will do what we do every Tuesday. That's acquaint you with the procedure. At the appropriate time, you can get to be part of the discussion in the studio. The platforms will be on your screen. But again, we say it all the time. For those calling in tonight, do us a favor. When your call gets through to the studio, turn down the volume of your TV set. Just reduce the volume. That's the way to avoid the hurlback, or the echo, if you like. And the best way to know that your call has been passed through to the studio, you will see your name appear on screen. As soon as you see your name on screen, it tells you that your call is through to the studio. Don't wait for any other thing. Just go straight to the point, ask your question, make a comment, keep it short and straight to the point so that others can also get on the platform. Don't bother too much about the greetings. You don't have much time. So just go straight. Once you see your name appear on screen, it means your call is through. All right, so welcome to NTA Tuesday Live. Tonight, we're starting off with the gains in transportation. And let's start off on a general note with the Minister of Transportation and say 3 years down the line, what was the status of transportation? And generally, what can Nigerians applaud about transportation today?
Well, I try as much as possible not to criticize the past government. Everybody made his own contribution according to their ability to perform. We must thank the president for focusing on infrastructure. So that gave a huge leap on transportation. What we've done in the area of transportation, what we met, they try to rehabilitate the narrow gauge. They were not quite successful because narrow gauge is doing 17 kilometers per hour at now we're talking. In fact, their ambition was for it to do between 40 and 45 kilometers per hour. The maximum thing was supposed to be 80 kilometers per hour for narrow gauge. They didn't have the ambition to get to 80 kilometers per hour. The ambition was to do between 40 and 45. But at the end of the day, the current narrow gauge that we have in Nigeria does 70 kilometers per hour. Have we done any change? Has anything changed from there? No. The answer is no. Because instead of government investing cash to rehabilitate narrow gauge, we are looking at concessioning it to private investors. So we're almost at the verge of signing an agreement. Before the month of April, May, we should be able to sign an agreement. We would have signed an agreement a long time ago if GE did not. I'm trying to manage GE's reputation, but they're no longer into the transportation business. So obviously they had to hand over to the other members of the consortium. Then there were other issues that we had to arrange with the new consortium or with the new leadership of the consortium, which we seem to have concluded, and we expect that between March and April we should be doing the final copies of the agreement and we sign the agreement and move forward. Then the President Obasanjo's regime introduced what they call, and I said that today in Yola, what they call the Railway Modernization Program. which he tried to initiate some contracts. And one of the contracts they initiated was the Lagos to Kano contract, the double track. And they didn't quite start it. Under President Jonathan, they borrowed a sum of $500 million from the China Exim Bank to construct the Abuja Kaduna Rail. By the time we came, they had abandoned it. So the president approved funds, and I had to talk with the Catholic Church to enable us have access on the right of way. And in no time we completed it. Commercial activities are ongoing there now because we put a lot of between 10 and 14 coaches and about 4 locomotives on that track. There is pressure to add more locomotives and more coaches, which we will address by in the next year. Then we looked at what was happening at the seaport. It took you months to clear your goods. Now it will take you weeks. Is that the right thing to do? The answer is no. Completely no, because virtually all the states in the south, in West Africa, have this national platform that enables you to clear your goods in less than 48 hours, actually. Are we trying to achieve that? The answer is yes. We'll be holding meetings in the office of the Vice President so we can key into that to enable us to be able to clear our goods in 48 hours. What is delaying goods at the seaport is not the responsibility of NPA. It's more of the fact that the roads are not good and we're trying to find solutions. My colleague and friend, the Minister for Works, is doing everything possible to arrest what we currently have as the gridlock in Apapa. And the Minister of NPA is also doing the same. I think the master has moved from a contract awarding agency back to a regulatory agency. So for the first time, the master was able to return, I think, about 20 billion naira to the coffers of government. The same with Shippers Council. The ES will speak for himself, but you see that like we don't have now. You find other ways to solve it. So generally, that's what it looks like in the transportation sector. And we're going to complete the Lagos-Ibadan, which we've already started, and conclude the Ibadan to Kano while taking on Port Harcourt to Maiduguri, which passes through the southeast.
The Lagos-Ibadan, how far has that gone?
I made the contractors laugh yesterday when I said it's 40% complete. He said, no, I can't say that. We're more than 60%. We are going to put a train this month from Iju to Abuja. Iju is in your state. So you can literally be, if you have a smart politician, I'm not. That's why I call villages Iju to Abuja. But if you're a smart politician, I can say from Lagos to Abuja. So if Iju is Lagos, then Abuja is Ogun State. But I know when we say Lagos to Abuja, they expect that we must start from Ebute Metta. But we think it's going to take towards the middle of the year to get to Abuja. I mean, to get to Ebute Metta.
All right, we'll return to the railways because that seems to be one infrastructure that can carry huge numbers of passengers and goods. But let's come to the Executive Secretary of the Nigeria Shippers Council. And the first thing that will come to mind is the Kaduna Inland Dry Port. Quite a number of people asked this question at the time that port was going to be inaugurated. It would seem that, for most Nigerians, the idea of a port away from the sea is unthinkable. So, but how has that contributed to the economy of the country?
The dry ports, as opposed to maritime ports, it's a novel idea, which means you are bringing shipping closer to the people. And you are replicating the economy of seaports to those places where the dry ports are situated. Whatever you see in Lagos or in Port Harcourt, most of it is because of the seaports or because they are port cities. And the same thing you will have in Kaduna if you have dry port. What we're trying to do is to move cargo away from the seaports so that we'll decongest, the seaports, reduce logistic time and cost, and also bring shipping closer to the people. And this is what has been done. But even for Nigeria, for the diversification of our economy, we need to export. And the dry ports are centers of exports. For example, we've heard from the Kaduna dry port, 20 containers, of export of various products, and this is just the beginning. So the concept of the dry port is novel. It's very important. It also will make Nigeria competitive in the sense that most of the goods that land at the seaports are actually destined for inland shippers and consignees. So it is important that we look at this concept, see what it can do to the economy in terms of employment opportunities. If you go to Kaduna now, you see banks coming there, you see some industries being set up, and you'll see a lot of economic activities that hitherto were not there. So we are doing that. Kaduna has started operating. In Funtua, it is about 60% completed. In Jos, another 60%. We have problems in 1 or 2 areas. This is because of the PPP issue. And I think sometimes, you know, government will have to be deliberate. Government will have to come in, honestly, to make sure that it intervenes in capital projects to make them attractive, even if to build these things and then concession them later.
Well, novel as the idea is, one of the questions that was raised at the inception was, what was the driving force behind the locations of the dry ports? What criteria was used?
Yes, the location was derived because of consultancy research carried out to see, you know, the number of throughput we could have, you know, in places. In Isialonga, for example, it is meant for all the eastern hub, so that we will make decision. In Jos, it's a big fertile area where we can export a lot of agricultural produce. That means processed vegetables and some, you know, issues, some agricultural produce also. The same thing in Kano, an industrial place where you can import and export. So these were scientifically, you know, arrived at.
Okay,
yes.
So these are basically economic factors.
Yes, more economic.
Not political.
Not political, right. More of economic than political
We'll
factors.
return to that, but let's come to NIWA, the Inland Waterways Authority. And the managing director is here. And first thing is, well, situate for us how well inland waterways can impact the national economy.
Well, I think the first thing to look at is Nigeria has huge inland waterways covering about 10,000 kilometers. That is huge. Then 28 states in Nigeria are accessible through the waterways. 28 out of 36. I think that's huge. Now, if you have to transport goods through the inland waterways, it's cheaper. You can imagine the cargoes arriving in Apapa, for example. The situation we have right now in Apapa, in terms of the gridlock, the congestion, would not have arisen if we had taken advantage of our huge inland waterways. If those cargoes were to be transported through the waterways, through, on barges, a single barge may just carry what 10 trailer loads will carry. So, one, you will reduce the wear and tear on the roads. You will reduce road traffic accidents. And of course, you will be able to take this train through to their destination. Of course, man-hour lost will have been reduced. So, in terms of the benefits, they are really they are huge. No doubt about that. Even the health implication. Were you to just be there in traffic for so many hours and all that, so it will impact negatively on your health. Now, the activities along these waterways, whether you're talking of the jetties, you're talking of the river ports and all that, would boost the economy, because whether you're talking of even fishing activities along the route, along the waterways, if you're talking of all other economic activities taking place along the right of way, all this will add up to boosting the economic activities. And don't forget, even leisure, tourism, all these are part of what you will get along these waterways, apart from transportation of goods, services, and even passengers. And you also have to take into account that there are a lot of states, a lot of communities in Nigeria, that they don't even have any other means of transporting except through the inland waterways, particularly those rural communities, the creeks and all that. The only means for them is through their, the vessels, the boats and all that. And they engage in fishing, they engage in farming and all that. And they have to transport their products to the markets and all that. So it's very important for us to develop, and these are natural endowments, not artificial.
Well, this would necessarily require capital investment, and seeing that not much was done in the past, given the benefits that can accrue, what are the initiatives you're bringing in there now as to Nigerians to say, yes, this is the direction in which we are going, and we're having a development of inland waterways which everyone, especially those who should benefit along the coastal areas, can begin to take advantage of?
Well, we'll be looking at a total package in terms of comprehensive development.
Right.
And what we are looking at is, and we also have some other interested parties that I don't want to divulge right now, who are even looking beyond what obtains within Nigeria. They are looking at making the waterway transportation hub for the entire West Africa by way of interconnectivity. People want to move a lot of goods, a lot of cargoes from here even to the, especially to the West African coast. So we'll be looking at that total development. We'll also be looking at how we, because for us to really make the waterway transportation effective and efficient, we need to clear the waterways of wrecks, wrecks and derelicts. We need to make the waterway, the channels, navigable all year round, which means we have to engage in what we call maintenance dredging.
Right.
Because if you don't do that, there will be siltation. And you need to maintain the depth navigable at a certain level. Then, of course, the issue of security has to be taken care of, because people want to be sure that when they transport the goods or they themselves as passengers, the route, they are safe for them and secure. So all this, that's why I talk about total package in terms of comprehensive approach to development. And of course, we need to do all the other studies that are necessary, and of course, put boys there like, you know, they're like road signs that tell you where the dangers are, where you have the hills, where you have the bends and all that. All these are things that are very important. And we need to do the surveys and charting. These are all the things that we need to put in place. And of course, that's one of the things that we shared, and I shared with this World Bank officials that came, and they are very much willing to assist us in all this. So we're going to put all this together.
Well, it's a good thing you talked about dredging, and I had earlier said we'd return to the issue of railways, but I want to press on this a little further, Minister. As with many projects, you have to contend with all kinds of issues. Controversies arising from people who otherwise located in the areas where projects are to be sited. And it would seem that in the case of dredging, the River Niger and Barrow, there are controversies already brewing.
What are the controversies? The managing director of NIWA is just to bring to my attention what those controversies are. But in the case of railway, we don't deal with dredging. Neither do we deal with essentially dredging. So we don't have those controversies. I must thank the communities between from Iju to say to Ibadan, no community problem, no harassment, no kidnapping, nothing. I've never seen that kind of and just not just one community, everybody on that route. That's why we have been able to do this peacefully, and we don't run into making a extra budget for such expenditure.
Well, the minister may say that the MD of NIWA has not brought it to his attention, but these are issues that have widely reported. And well, even if we were to leave aside that of dredging, even in the railways you mentioned, there were still challenges.
No, not the one so far from Lagos.
From Lagos. Okay.
We don't have such challenges. Okay, but we could have, like, there are minor this in
right. So how are you addressing those? Those are
community problems. Community problems we deal with the community. We deal with community leadership, and we let the youth know that this is not their business. It's government business, and we'll move on.
All right. We have our very first caller on the program tonight. Calling in from Kaduna. Hello. Yes, go right ahead.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening. Right.
My name is Alstawa calling from Kaduna.
Right.
Highly welcome to the Honorable Minister. Actually, I only want to commend the Honorable Minister for the job well done. At least we've been witnessing the dividends of democracy in this country. The first time in the history of Nigeria. We, the youth of this country, we are really appreciating this government. And in fact, I'm in a short of weight. There is not any weight that I will use to
recognizing that. Just that this program is not for politics, so but he has assured us of his votes, and that's critical.
Oh well, but returning to the rails, you did say in your opening comments, talking about the Abuja Kaduna rail project, and there's been a clamor for an increase in the number of.
They even call for increase in cost of transportation.
Right.
We've pulled in about 960 million naira already.
All right.
What can then happen is that it's found solution to those who are heading to Kaduna, who come to work from Kaduna to Abuja in the morning and all that. So you can, I use it a lot when I'm going to Kaduna. And it's comfortable, it's convenient for me. I hop out of the office and I take the 2 o'clock rail and go to Kaduna. By 6 p.m. I'm coming back to home. I remember we went to visit the family of the chairman of Railway Corporation, who just died. We went by rail by 2 o'clock. We arrived about 4, and before 6 we were on our way back to Abuja. We just sleep. Now, but you see, there are other areas that we've not. The construction of the rail from Lagos to Calabar, which passes through Djibouti or and then to Benin. Then there's a spur that takes you to Abo or Asaba. It's at Abo to meet the one from Itape to Warri, which is already running free train services. Then to Asaba, then to Onitsha, and then to back to Benin, back to Weli, Sapele, or is it back to Warri first, Warri to Sapele, and then to Yenegua, and then to Port Harcourt. It is off from Port Harcourt to Aba, and Aba to Uyo, and then Uyo to Calabar. Then we're also negotiating for loan to commence the construction of the Port Harcourt Meduguri, which goes Port Harcourt. It has two spurs. One from Port Harcourt it goes to Owerri, and then to Newi, and to Oka, and to Ebonyi. Then continues from Port Harcourt again to Aba, Aba to Umahia. Okay. Umahia to Enugu to Makode to Lafayette, so then Jos, and then to Bauchi, and then between Bauchi and Gombe, it is off to Yola, and then to Damaturu, and finally to Maiduguri.
Okay. Well, we have another caller on the line. Mohammed calling in from Kebbi. Hello, Mohammed. Okay, that line, we lost that line, but just keep the calls coming through. Hopefully we'll get some more calls coming in through. But let's return to the Executive Secretary of the Shippers Council. You talked about replicating the economy of Lagos in the inland states like Kaduna, Funtua. Nigeria is a country in a hurry. And again, the same question we put to the Managing Director of NIWA is what yours even more so. You said it was a public-private partnership, and these also require huge investments. How far have you gone with that? And one, there are worries that, yes, where you have such massive private participation, are you not ceding so much control of the local economy to the big players who are coming in?
Well, the private sector must move the economy. Transportation is the lifeblood of every economy, and the private sector being the one with the capital. The government has a lot of priorities, and so the apportionment of risk between the government, and the private sector must be carefully done. We did the capital of the private sector, but the government must guarantee the investment atmosphere is cordial, is stable, return of investment, powerful institutions like the judiciary, stability, we're talking about political stability, and so many other things. This must all come together. But in the next last two budgets, you could see the government being very strong on infrastructure. This has been unprecedented. Generally infrastructure, but transport infrastructure took also the lead. So you could see the government, saying that we have to build not only infrastructure, but modern infrastructure. And this infrastructure must, come together. There must be link, connectivity. If we have a dry port in Kaduna, it must speak with the river port in Barrow. And it will have to speak with the seaport in Port Harcourt. And that's why the railway, or the revolution, that's what I call it, the revolution in railway, unprecedented. What's happening in Nigeria is hinged, on so many things. This is the year of consolidation, crystallization of all ideas. And once we have that railway coming, you will see many things will just, fall into places. The dry ports especially must work, with the rail. The rail is very important. What we have now in Kaduna is trucking. People are still, coming by trucks. It's costing maybe 1,600,000 to bring a container to Kaduna by truck.
Some would say that's not...
Yes, that is not fair. If we have the rail, it will cost probably 500,000. And it will be more, such a question. Because right from the beginning, the Minister of Transportation has always said, don't repeat the challenges of seaports in the dry ports. That is, make them modern so that there will be 48 hours operation. One can clear one's good in 24 hours, and 24 hours at the dry port. And that's what we're doing now. We are trying to build a modern traffic management system. We want to bring technology to the dry ports. We want to bring modern things so that we don't have even physical presence of people at the ports. We want the port to be automated, you know, and people should rely on it. The management of the dry port in Kaduna are even opening offices in London and Far East, so that they will also canvass for cargo to come to Kaduna. I mean, if you can sit down in Kaduna, have your cargo being brought, why bother to go to Lagos and clear them? You could do that in Kaduna, you could do that in Issa Long, you could do that in Ibadan, in Jos, in Kano. So that is the beauty of it. And the more goods we have, the more you see the transformation, you know, of the economy in those places where these ports are situated.
All right. So, extending on the links that is talked about, draw a lot from the railway system, from the ports. I still like to return to the dredging, even though the minister would say no controversies about reason over that. But the dredging also.
Yes. What are those controversies?
Well, the MD will speak.
No, I would be interested in whatever you raise.
The dredging.
Yeah.
One thing that people would ask first is, how soon can they begin to take due advantage of these investments and developments in that sector? And if we were to extend further, what time frame are we looking at that these the waterways will begin to service the dry inland ports?
Well, these are issues that will be resolved as soon as we are through with Barrow, which, I mean, in fact, is ready right now. Don't forget, just a few weeks or thereabout ago, we had a marching order, if you like, from the Honorable Minister of Transportation that it should make it ready for commissioning by Mr. President. And we got cracking. We needed to do a few things, and but happily enough, the Barrow Port is ready for commissioning as soon as Mr. President gives us a date. Now, with that in mind, I can tell you that there's a lot of excitement in the entire state. The government and the people of Niger State, they are willing, they are ready to give all the necessary support to really get it on. Now, on the issue of dredging, the Lower Niger River had been dredged at a point, I think a couple of years ago, but that was capital dredging. And I did mention earlier on that there would be need for maintenance dredging, because if you dredge and you don't do it, and particularly because of the alluvial nature of that area, siltation is very easy. So all that will be taken on board, because it's a total thing, because you don't, for you to benefit from it. And the more activities that take place on the channels, the less siltation you have. So I'm saying that between Barrow to Onitsha, to Warri, and these are the areas that activities we're already having proposals. People wanting to set up jetties along this route. So as soon as activities commence in that place, all the other issues will just be more or less taken for granted, because the investors are already showing willingness. They are waiting. It's just like, look, once you're ready, we are also ready to go. That is the situation we are getting, right now, in terms of the excitement and, of course, the enthusiasm.
Well, Minister, there's talk about a National Transport Commission being underway. Can you tell us about that? What it should do?
What should do, or whether it's on the way or not?
Yes.
The law has been passed. The president had, or the ministry has some objections, which we passed on to the president. The ministry met, NIWA, NIMASA, MPA, Shippers Council, NIT, everybody, man or on, with me chairing, and there were some observations that were raised to the president, which led to him writing to the National Assembly to please correct these observations and bring it back for his signature. I think when that happens and he signs, then we'll commence application of the law, implementation of the law, which vests the transportation from the Shippers Council, as they are now, to the Transport Commission.
Right. What would the obvious benefits of that be?
Well, it has intensive. By the time, very intensive.
Yes, but in the face of resources, which you talk about,
I doubt how many. Just to Google it and see how many which part of the world do you have private investors investing. What they invest in is operation, because construction itself is too capital intensive. Right. The rail from Lagos to Ibadan is about $1.6 billion. That's about nearly 600 billion naira. That is nearly 2-year budget of River State. Yes. Both salaries and all that. And you're doing it for both the current and capital expenditure, and you're doing it for just 156 kilometers of rail. So it's not a thing you invite the private sector because they don't have the resources. So what they do invest in, and anywhere in the world, they do invest in operation, which is exactly what the South African company is coming to do with narrow gauge. What they're coming to do is, okay, we invest $700 million to rehabilitate the tracks. And then the rest money, about $2 billion, we invest in operation, buying of coaches, locomotives, rolling stock, management, and payment of salaries and all that. That's what they're trying to do. So for us, even though the bill is still with the National Assembly, when it's passed into law, it enables legally the power of either the minister or the ministry to invite the private sector to come and invest in operation. So people ask you now, who is running? And there's no rocket science in operation. We are running efficiently between Abuja and Kaduna. What the problem is management. And management in Nigeria is just one man on top who is disciplined. Once you're disciplined, everybody, it will cascade downwards. The problem is that people just like to do whatever they like. They come to work late. They don't manage to keep the coaches clean. They don't go on time. But those are management issues that can be handled. So before you talk about concessionary management, I like what somebody told me one day when I was saying, look, we'll concession this in River State. We'll concession. He said, be careful you don't concession the management of the state. In which case the governor will have no work. So what is emphasizing on this? Train Nigerians to manage the thing.
All right, but as we round off quickly, Minister, what's the next level for transportation?
Key is finance, because we must construct. You see, first and foremost, Nigerians must know that we can't take railway to everybody's house. So we must construct and I'm very interested. There are 3 major rail lines that must be constructed for business to run efficiently in the country and for the economy to grow. We're already focusing on Lagos to Kano, and then there will be a spur from Kano to Maradi. So we must finish the Lagos to Kano, and then possibly finish the the Kano to Maradi. We must also start and complete the Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. That Port Harcourt to Maiduguri is one I say that goes to Yola, to Damaturu, and then to Maiduguri, and then comes to Port Harcourt to Owerri, Oka, Inewi, Oka, and Abakaliki. And then when you finish all that, you must not forget the one I had mentioned also from Lagos to Calabar. Yeah. Finally, the Central Line. Okay. Luckily for us, the Central Line, we've completed 250 kilometers, which is Itabe to Warri. Now we need to do from Abuja to Itabe, which is about 200 something kilometers, passing through Baru into Lokoja, and then to Itabe. When you do that, Baro, you feature Baro because goods and business can go to Baro. And then you connect Itabe. That takes you to Warri with the deep sea port in Warri. Another deep sea port in Bonny. That takes off from Bonny. Actually, Port Harcourt to Maiduguri is actually from Bonny to Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. So that every activity between the northeast, southeast, and south-south can end up with the Port Harcourt deep sea port, which is the Bonny deep sea port. While from the southwards, we end up with Warri from the central, and the Warri seaport. While the one from northwest, which we call the western line, we end up at the Lagos seaport, so that he will not complain about transportation.
All right, Minister. Yes, we know the standard gauge is it now, but what fate for the narrow gauge?
Oh, we already have I can tell you, we are giving out by latest before April, we'll have signed the concession agreement. All right. Once we sign the concession agreement, and it will take them 1 year to do what they call, they want to do another feasibility study, what they call a bankable feasibility. We don't have a feasibility study, but they want a bankable feasibility that enables them to borrow money. Then they will start operation, and then they will start rehabilitation of the track.
All right. Well, we'll have to leave it there for this time, for this discussion. And as we go on, we hopefully would be asking to get some more updates on the transportation sector. But for now, we'd like to say thank you very much to the Minister of Transportation, Amici. Thank you very much. And the executive...
Objects and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me. Nigeria, unite against terrorism.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria, good people, great nation.
Make you report any crooked person, object or wakajube movement to police and security agent demo.
The security of our nation now work for all of us, plus including me and you.
Nigeria, make we unite against terrorism. Now, Federal Minister of Information and Culture bring on this message.
NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Together, no matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. Let's stop fighting each other. Let us live as one. religion, man, woman, or child. It doesn't matter who you are. Put Nigeria first. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
How can we develop when we're always in crisis? Families have become refugees in their country. No matter our differences, show some understanding.
No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria, good people, great.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
Under no conditions whatsoever should we tolerate or excuse or justify hate speech or hateful conduct of any kind, especially where such is illegal.
There's no doubt that the resurgent push for separatism, as well as the rising cases of ethnic and religious
Haram. Today, all occupied territories have been recovered and Boko Haram has been degraded. Our affected brothers and sisters are getting their lives back. However, they are now after you and me. In our mosques, churches, schools, motor parks, markets, entertainment centers, and public gatherings. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me. Nigeria, unite against terrorism.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, it's strongly held that Nigeria's aviation industry has the potential of becoming a Pan-African hub, which is why the federal government is coming up with more initiatives to drive the sector. Now, of importance is revamping the industry. That's in building strong economic base for growth and development, as well as meeting up with air passengers. Well, it's predicted to more than double. Well, Nigeria has recorded so many achievements in the civil aviation safety regulations that earned the country certification of 2 of its airports, Abuja and Lagos. That's in compliance with the International Civil Aviation Organization standards in terms of security and safety. Now, this is expected to be consolidated in other airports, as presently only few countries in Africa have certified airports. The transformation of the sector is what we'll be talking about next, but first we have this report by Emmanuel Ayimiru.
Smooth and safe landing of aircraft became the hallmark of 2018 with the installation of modern navigational aids, including instrument landing system, communication equipment, and air surveillance to improve air safety in Nigerian airports.
We put a brand new ILS in Kaduna. We've started work on a new ILS in Maiduguri. We are going to be installing in Port Harcourt, Benin, and Akure. We are going to be also installing in Minna and Jos. We have approval to install Category 3 ILSs in Lagos and Abuja.
In preparation for predicted multiplication of passenger traffic in the near future, The federal government completed and inaugurated new international airport terminal buildings in Port Harcourt and Abuja, which were regarded as significant landmark for international travelers.
Nigeria is moving towards meeting global aviation standards in facilitation, passenger processing, and service delivery in tandem with international best practices.
Lagos and Kano Airport's new terminal building completion are underway. Apart from the fact that Nigeria passed ICAO safety audit, the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport Abuja received an award for the best in African safety in aviation in 2018.
Only maybe 3 or 4 countries that have certified airports in Africa. So Nigeria is the first. This certification program started 11 years ago, but we couldn't achieve anything. But during this administration, we were able to achieve 2 airports and 4 are in the pipeline.
Foreign airlines that come into Nigeria pay little or no premium to land into these 2 airports. And you can see that's why most of them have started coming back to this country. So I think that's an excellent thing to this country.
Nigeria's quest for intermodal transport recorded a milestone in 2018 with the linking of Abuja Airport light rail, the first of its kind in West Africa. What could have been a crowning glory for the sector, a national air carrier project, which was launched in Farnborough International Air Show in London, was stepped down. That notwithstanding, the establishment of aviation leasing company and a maintenance, repairs and overhaul facility expected to provide opportunity for local airlines operators to acquire aircraft is still in the offing.
The MRO is so important that if we had had them, all the foreign exchange that we frittered abroad in maintenance of airplanes would have been sitting right here. It's also shameful that all these years we never thought about establishing one. So it's good news and it's credit to Mr. President Buhari that he's thinking about it.
Government's ease of doing business also brought efficiency at airports. More indigenous airlines also sprang up in the year under review, and old ones expanding the fleet. While new aviation players are smiling, the old ones, whom had been sad and resigned to faith, ended the year laughing aloud as the Buhari administration commenced the payment of 45 billion naira gratuity for more than 5,000 retirees of the defunct Nigerian Airways. Emmanuel Ayimiro, NTA News.
All right, let's now introduce our guest to you for this segment. We'd like to welcome to this program Minister of State for Aviation, Senator Hadi Sirika. Thanks for being here, Minister.
Thank you very much.
Right, we're joined tonight by Captain Mukhtar Shuaibu Usman, who's the Director General, Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you very much, sir.
Let me also welcome Engineer Sally Dunoma, who's the Managing Director, Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN. Thanks for the question is that achievable, and what's been done to actualize that?
Well, thank you very much, Cyril. It's not only achievable, it's a statement of fact, and we're doing everything to ensure that Nigeria becomes the hub of aviation in Africa. There are a lot of factors that is making that possible. One, the geography of Nigeria, God-given, at the center of Africa. I used to say that due to our own peculiarity, we are equidistant from all locations within Africa, and that supports air transportation. If you look at aviation, you see the world hubs are in Central Europe, all the way to Northern America, and then if you go back to the east, it's in Mid-East and all the way to Central Asia. And the simple reason is because you're at the center of the world and you can connect points, and that's the whole idea about hub. Your hub and spoke, you come in and you go out. If you are down, say, in South Africa, you are far away from the routes, so you will not be able to create that hub. And second point is that Nigeria's population, 180 billion people, all traveling people who travel sometimes even for nothing. And then the economy of Nigeria, $500 billion, $500 billion, the official GDP. Unofficial is about $1 trillion. You know, the action is here. The African action is here. I say that if Africa were to be, or the West and Central African sub-region is the belt of Africa, then Nigeria certainly is the buckle that holds it. And then the West and Central African population alone, 600 million people, that is equal to continental Europe. So all these add up to create the opportunity and the potential for creating a hub in Nigeria. What are we doing to ensure that that hub succeeds is that we're creating policies to allow competition, to allow growth and development of the airline industry in Nigeria. And of course also eventually when the national carrier gets set up, because you can't create any hub with the absence of a functional viable carrier. This carrier can be called national or whatever. If we have domestic carrier, say for example Max Air or Arik Air or Air Peace, any one of them that would have developed the capacity to be able to serve the market efficiently and effectively can contribute towards growth and development of hub, which is needed, which is absent, which is eluding the country Nigeria. And so I believe Nigeria is a good candidate. Nigeria has the capability and capacity. I just heard you during the introduction that you're quoting the IATA figures and the ICAO figures that the air transportation will double by 2030. Well, in the case of Nigeria, it has been proven both by IATA and ICAO that it will go 4 times. I mean, it's unbelievable. The market here, right here, is it's unbelievably big and supports air transportation. And the 923,766 square kilometers of Nigeria allows for air transportation. It's also a huge domestic internal market. There's also the West Coast market, which has been the backbone of the operations of Nigerian Airways at the time, where Nigeria connects the, like I said, the West and Central African sub-region, especially the West Coast. You know, you go all the way to Gambia, you know, you do Liberia, you do Ghana, you do all these countries, you know. And another thing that will support this hub creation is the single African air transport market, or in the industry what was known at the time to be the Yamoussoukro Declaration or Decision, which led to the acceptance by AU and Nigeria is the signatory to the single African air transport market. Reason being, if you want to go to Niger from, say, Niamey, from Lagos or from Abuja, you have to go to Europe and come back to Niamey, which is just next door. So it doesn't make sense. So the intent of government is to create the enabling environment to allow these airlines to grow and then to establish also the carrier to ensure that we're able to tap on the potentials of Nigeria, both the population and the market and the economy.
All right. Well, we'll return to you, Minister, in a short while. But let's go over to the Director General of the NCAA. Not too long ago, civil aviation in Nigeria had taken, you know, a downward trend. What's it like today?
Well, thank you very much, Cyril. We did, when we came, we took a holistic view of the industry to identify the problems and where we needed to provide solutions. And we started by looking at the regulations, also emphasizing on trainings, on the areas of safety and security generally, both in terms of the personnel and also in terms of the infrastructure and the policies also. And that's why you can see for the last 3 years or 4 years, we've not had any commercial scheduled air accidents in Nigeria that consumed any life. And we plan to continue to sustain it, and that's what we've been doing, yes.
Okay, we'll come back to the issue of safety, but
because there was a review, a holistic review of what is happening in the industry. And of course, the Airport Authority brought forward all the issues that need to be tackled. For example, of course, there are so many safety issues that would be tackled by a single program, that is the certification of our airports. And now we collaborated with the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority and other agencies to make sure that we certify the airports because it has a lot of advantages. It will address all the safety issues and the security issues. That was first done. And then secondly, of course, we looked at issues of capacity because we lacked capacity in our airports. And we had these programs, projects that are on ground, which were not funded. But when we tabled it to the government, of course, we were given the chance to continue with these projects and complete them. That's why we were able to commission in 2018 two airports, Port Harcourt and Abuja. And of course, there are a lot of other things that were done. For example, the repairs of Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport runway. You recall we had to close the airport for 2 weeks to enable us to carry out the necessary repairs that will improve on the safety of operations into Abuja Airport. Well, these are some of the things that were done by the government. There's a lot more that were done by government to make sure that we improve the situation in our airports.
Well, capacity training is what the DG of the Civil Aviation Authority talked about. And again, we would take part of that to the rector of the College of Aviation Technology, NCAT. In terms of capacity training, what do we have on ground at NCAT?
Thank you, Cyril. At NCAT, we are able to provide most of the training needs for the aviation industry. We train pilots, air traffic controllers, aircraft engineers, aircraft electronics, telecommunication engineers, and then aviation managers, cabin crew, flight operations, the whole lot. NCAT is a one-stop shop for training of aviation personnel. And it was established to address the training needs of Nigeria and the West African sub-region. And for 54 years now, the college has been able to meet that demand.
What is different, if I may chip in, right? Yes. What is different today is that NCAT has become, because of what we have done to change NCAT, it has become the regional center of excellence for the International Civil Aviation Organization in Africa. And just recently, the NCAT received awards as the the best in training of instructors, and the highest number of trained instructors in the college. And then also just gotten accreditation from MBTE, to be able to give HND and national diplomas in aircraft maintenance engineering and aircraft maintenance engineering avionics, and then the power plant, which is the engines and the airframe, and that has changed. And also, NCAT we've just recently procured and will be installed the firefighting simulator, fire simulator, which you didn't have. And hitherto we go to Cameroon for the recurrency of these fire officers, but now we do it in-house in NCAT. And so NCAT has become one-stop shop, like you said, for all training needs. It has become top 20 institution in the world. And this all happened between 2015 and now, and much more.
Let's take a number of the airports which you can easily put forward and say Nnamdi Azikiwe, Abuja, the Port Harcourt Airport, and of course Murtala Mohammed in Lagos. Recently, there were issues about Murtala Mohammed Airport in Lagos. How have you addressed those?
Well, to start with Murtala Mohammed Airport, if you remember, Murtala Mohammed Airport was built in about 1980, 79, 80, and that airport was meant to cater for 200,000 passengers per annum. And today, that airport is doing 8 million passengers per annum. And there is not a single addition to the infrastructure there, to the building there, to the facility that is there. And of course, it's just like having a house, one-bedroom house with one toilet and one man and his wife and one son. And suddenly you decide to marry 3 more wives, and then each wife give birth to 7 children, and then you bring your niece and uncle and cousin and in-laws and everybody to come and sit in the same house, the same one-bedroom. No matter how much you want to clean that toilet and fix it, because of the high rate of usage, it will go down. What have we done? Recently, we tried to improve on those things day in, day out. But the solution to it, which we put forward, is to concession these airports and give them to private sector to come in and put their money, tear them down, and build new ones and operate them. But however, before then, the new terminals that government decide to complete, in Lagos. Lagos is about 90% completion at the moment. Very soon we will commission Lagos also in this year, and it will be like Port Harcourt, much better because it's much bigger. You know, it's the same size as Abuja, and that will improve upon the facilitation of passengers. Even that is not adequate because the growth is astronomical. Because of the things that we've been doing in the industry, we've seen, for example, quarter 1, quarter 2 of 2017, when you compare to quarter 1, quarter 2 of 2018, we saw growth of 33% in domestic operations, then the number of passengers and everything. And we saw growth of 15% in the international. So if we are doing 8 million passengers now and we're growing at a combined growth of about 43%, you know, it's only telling you that in the next few years, you're going to go to those numbers to be 25 million, 30 million mark. And you have an airport that is built for 200,000 people. So it is chaotic, and that's why the government decided to quickly finish these terminal buildings at whatever cost, so that it can be provided for passenger to use. But let me say, you touched on the issue of safety right there. Since we came, we've improved upon the safety situation, and Abuja has earned the Best in Safety Award in Africa. Not only that, the overall ICAO audit that was conducted on Nigeria scored 96%, over 96% in security, to be precise, 96.45%. And then in safety, we scored about 67.5, which is well above the world average, which is 63%. And I guarantee you, before the end of this year, we will hit 96 to 97% in safety, and also go to near 100 in security. So I think we're doing a lot on the whole. And then on other airports also, like Port Harcourt is completed, the remaining other Port Harcourt domestic would also be completed this year, this quarter. We are at about 90% completion of the old Port Harcourt, and then put to use. Other airports like Kano and Lagos will be finished about the same time in this year. We will be able to give people dates, and once we give that date, we will try to achieve that date as we did. And what is also very peculiar is that we have maintained the FAA, which is the Federal Aviation Administration of the U.S., Category 1 status for the country. But what is different, what is the change here, is that we were able to do it in-house, without recourse to any foreign consultant spending any money. So we used our own people and did it and got it right. And on certification, it is the first time ever that any airport in Nigeria is certified. And in the whole continental Africa, there are not many airports that are certified. There are not more than 3. And Nigeria has achieved that. So you could see that we're growing, and we're continuing to grow, and we're paying more and more attention to safety and security, because these things in aviation, they are, for me, our focus is perhaps maybe very different from that of passenger. Our focus is both for the comfort, convenience of the passenger and the aesthetics, but more importantly, how safe do you depart point A and land at point B, and everything in between. And those things that are in between are what makes aviation tick. And they're very expensive, and they're being done, and some of them are in the bushes. And I can give you an example. For example, if you see ordinary runway, something like friction test, you know, the friction to see you know, the braking efficiency of the airplane when it's coming to land, for example, is extremely important. We have to carry out those tests. We have to ensure that the runway has been maintained to give you the right traction and to give you the right braking for the aircraft. Passenger may not know about this, but this is very critical, and the safety issue. And that's why when Abuja became dilapidated, we have to reconstruct the runway and then rehabilitate it totally. And we set a target, and then we achieved it.
Well, some say you should have a second runway.
Yes, I do believe so. Even before I became minister, a long time ago, I started talking about this second runway as far back as 1998. Because I don't believe that we should have one single runway in our federal capital. You know, anything that would have happened to it, you saw what happened, the inconvenience that when we decided to close the runway, and it has to be done so. I remember when I had to go to Senate 3 times to defend it. I remember when Nigerian Society of Engineers came around, and all of the objection. But we had to move people to Kaduna. If there's any national emergency and you have only one single runway, you would have had it. So Mr. President, in his wisdom, has said that we must get this second runway going, and it will be done. and I think we'll start to put it in the budget this year, and we would find some other forms of funding so that we're able to finish it within time.
Well, this next bit of the question, let me go over to Captain Mukhtar Shoaib Usman. And it's been said that the average lifespan of any airline in Nigeria is perhaps 10 years old. People would tell you, look, they can point at any airline that survives more than 20 years in this country, and they turn around and say, is the Nigerian civil aviation sector over-regulated? Airlines come up and say there are all kinds of bottlenecks that are placed in the way. I'd like you to comment on that.
Well, let me first of all say that we have to be safe in whatever we do, so safety first. And that's why the priority first is the safety regulation. The economic regulation also, we cannot wish it away, is there. What we have discovered also in the course of our own examination of why airlines are folding up within a short time is the lack of corporate governance, lack of access to finances, lack of access to aircraft at low rate, and that's why arising from those problems, solutions are to have the leasing company, which government is trying to have in place. Also, the financing also is also being addressed. And one other area is also the issue of the national carrier, because it's difficult to have somebody with just 3, 4, 5 aeroplanes being able to operate profitably and so on. And it's because of that financing issues and also lack of corporate governance.
Okay. But again, you do have airlines who have put forward some suggestions that have shocked people to say, look, they would need massive intervention from government. Again, running airlines is a private affair. Minister.
Well, yes, I agree entirely. I don't agree to government to be doling out money to airlines for them, because they're on private business, and they need to be able to develop the capacity to get funding from somewhere. And arising from that, we thought as a government, part of our roadmap is to try to create private sector-led and driven aviation leasing company, where there will be cheap funds for people in aviation business, not only airline, in handling, in catering, in everything that you're doing, even in car hire, for you to access funds at single digits and do your business. In that way, the sector will grow. And because of this, and because we've been championing it around the world, International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, did for the first time the World Aviation Forum outside of Canada, the headquarters, and they chose Nigeria. And we host 120 countries here in Nigeria, most of which came at administrative level to discuss the funding. It's called IWAS 3, and it is centered towards funding or source of funding for aviation infrastructure and businesses. And arising from that, the resolutions were forwarded to AU, that is the African side of it, to AU, and it will be endorsed by heads of states, and then we'll come and source funding. We have Islamic Development Bank, we have African Development Bank, we have the Bank of Development, West African Bank of Development, and so on, all partnering to bring about cheap funds that will be leveraged on in aviation to develop sector. So I do believe that the funding is there. It only needs to be structured in such a way that it can be accessed. But I don't believe that government should be doling out money to airlines, even though the service is needed.
Right. Emily talking about safety, security, facilities at Nigerian airports. How far have you, upgrading and ensuring safety? We've heard reports in the past, not recently though, of people, attacking, planes that have come into land, and we've seen people stray across runways. We've had issues with animals on airport runways. What are you putting in place to secure airports?
I think if you indulge me just before him, please, I just need to make this explanation really. I mean, there are multiple issues here. Let me start from the one in Sokoto. The one in Sokoto was a huge political rally. Right. The aviation security personnel that we have there in Sokoto were overwhelmed. Right. Once President Buhari's name is mentioned in these localities, the thousands and thousands of people that are thrown to the airport to receive him are unquantifiable, unseen. I remember in 2003 and 2007 also, when we go to Yola, people will come all the way to climb onto the top of the airplane and come in front and on the runway and make operations of the aircraft unsafe. Many times President Buhari would have to shut down the engines on the runway for him to come out. We saw when I was personally involved when he was not able to access his aircraft to depart. You know, he is a phenomenon. And at the time in Sokoto, Aluwa Mako was coming into Sokoto, and his own crowd, plus the anticipated crowd that President Buhari will also be there, you know, thronged into Sokoto airport and came from the rear and broke our fence and entered with their motorcycle and so on. And we dealt with that. And of course now we are recreating the fences all over the place. And we have in the budget, both in the budget of the parastatal and also in the budget of the national, to improve upon our fencing. And what is more important now, because of many other issues, including when I became minister early in the day in 2015, when passengers become so unruly and they overpowered the aviation security and went right into the airport and held Turkish Air, you know, because they didn't see their luggage and they didn't allow the aircraft to depart. We had to tweak our system and employ more new young bloods into the aviation security, and we are now currently training them. They would get training on how to handle weapons and things that they can at least provide adequate security for our airports. And Mr. President graciously approved that they bear arms this aviation security. And the reason is, we don't see airport only airport in Kano or airport in Lagos or airport in Abuja. This airport is gateway. And what is different from the seaport or the border, car border, is that in a few hours you'll be in Beijing. So if there's anything that affects someone in Kano, can innocently affect somebody in Beijing in the next 9-10 hours or so through air transportation. So it's very important that we get it secured. So what we are doing, we're strengthening our systems, including surveillance, including fencing, including physical security of human beings. We're training and retraining them. We've recently employed close to about 500 personnel that will train and put them across all the airports, especially those international airports. And also we're redesigning the entire security architecture, you know, and having now building all of these armories and so on. And we made working visits to TSA of the USA, that's the Transportation Security Administration of the US, you know, to see what they are doing. And we're improving upon that. Just to, the last one the one in Ekiti, I think, is it? The one in Ekiti. It's actually a very funny story, but because it's out there at the time, there wasn't any need for us to begin to drag it and in the media. But what exactly happened was that there's an airplane coming to land. At the time, Ayafaya, and we all know who he is anyway. He was in the airport as His Excellency the Governor at the time. He was at the airport. And then an airplane was making an approach to come into the runway, or into the airport and onto the runway. And the control tower saw some cows far away from the airport, but they are advancing towards the airport. And he gave an advisory warning to the pilot, and also advisory to other users. And of course, so within 5 minutes, they went to where they were, and the animals alerted and then dispelled them. They weren't on the runway, they weren't near the runway, and the airplane came and landed safely. But of course, he took advantage as a politician and suddenly called pressmen and said that there were cows on the runway. It's impossible to have them. I think we've gone beyond that at the moment in most of our international airports. It wasn't the case that in about maybe 9 years ago when we had the Port Harcourt incidents. That cannot happen now by the grace of God.
So yes. just to add up to what the Honourable Minister said, you recall all the airport development in this country happened some 30 years ago. You know, that is minimum. Some of them are beyond that. Kano, for example, was built and commissioned in 1957. So most of the materials that we use for our fencing are materials that are scalable. Okay. But now there are modern design, there are modern material design specifically for airport fence. You cannot scale it, you cannot open it from outside. Everything is done from inside. You can only get access to it from inside. From outside, even your fingers cannot go in, so you cannot climb, you cannot scale it.
All right.
And there are stronger materials. So we are adapting those materials in order to improve all our fences. We have a program going on, so we are replacing all our fences in order to make sure that nobody, no human being scales that, or animals cannot get to our runway.
All right, so just quickly, for we take a short break, the quality of, training that is received in NCAT. The minister has talked about, some awards coming to NCAT, but they compare favorably with, like institutions all over the world.
Yes. We can compare to any other institution. We have accreditation by the International Civil Aviation Organization. Our programs are approved and sanctioned by the International Civil Aviation Organization. And our trainees, when they graduate, they are issued with licenses recognized by the International Civil Aviation Organization that allows graduates to work anywhere in the world.
All right. Well, at this point, we'll take a short break. When we return, we'll raise some other issues in the aviation industry. Stay with us on NTA Tuesday Live. We'll be back shortly.
Nigerians, our fearless officers and men of the Nigerian military are winning the war against Boko Haram. Today, all occupied territories have been recovered and Boko Haram has been degraded. Our affected brothers and sisters are getting their lives back. However, they are now after you and me. In our mosques, churches, schools, motor parks, markets, entertainment centers, and public gatherings. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me. Nigeria unite against terrorism.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria, good people, great nation.
Make you report any crooked person, object, or wakajube movement to police and security agent demo.
The security of our nation now work for all of us, plus including me and you.
Nigeria, make we unite against terrorism. Now, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture bring on this message.
NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still on the aviation industry, the developments, the transformation of the aviation industry. And during the break, we were joined by Two other guests, let me welcome them to this program. Captain Fola Akikotu is the Managing Director of Nigeria Airspace Management Agency, NAMA. Thanks for being here with us.
Thank you, sir.
And he's coming along with Akin Olateru, who's Chief Executive Officer, Accident Investigation Bureau, AIB. Thanks for joining us, gentlemen. Let's start with you and say, how safe is Nigerian airspace?
I've said it before, Nigerian airspace is very safe.
Very safe.
Very safe.
Well, you know, I don't want to jump the gun, but we're seeing incidents in international aviation circles. Well, one of them quite recently, and even a few hours ago, where, you know, interferences with the movement of departure and, you know, arrival of flights due to certain elements who are carrying out activities around airports. So we wonder if these things are happening in highly advanced, as they say, countries. What could be the fate of Nigeria's airspace?
Well, you have refused, if you excuse me, to be quite specific. But I think my take is that you are talking about the interference that drones have had.
Yes.
In some high-profile airports.
Yes.
We have, at least over a year ago, we've started thinking seriously about possible interference. How do we deal with drones, or what they call unmanned aviation vehicles? And don't forget that Nigeria actually, as a nation, addressed this issue a year ago when we had the IRPAS conference in Nigeria. So, Nigeria as a nation has started thinking about it much earlier, and we have internalized it by looking at the problems. There are several ways to mitigate against it. I don't doubt that in the advanced countries, their problems can be different. We do not have the same level of possible interference. But even at our level, we are taking a very serious look at it. So we are studying it. There are laws that are coming about how drones are being deployed, how they are being registered, and the possibility of being able to see them. Likely because a lot of drones don't carry transponders. They might be difficult to detect on the radar. But there are also technology that are being developed, or that are on the market actually, on how they can be seen. So, in response to your question, we are addressing the issue of.
And this is a very good topic, because I remembered in 2015, specifically in about December, we were just ministers there 30 days or thereabout, or less actually, in 2 weeks, and I was in International Civil Aviation Organization ICAO Center. And I addressed this issue on drones and its possibility of causing havoc to air transportation. And because of that, we've begun to interact with other countries and with ICAO itself. And ICAO decided to host or to hold a conference here, a symposium right here in Abuja, the remotely piloted aircraft system symposium in Abuja. And again, about 70 countries were in attendance, most of them at ministerial level. And arising from that, Nigeria, we took it very seriously, and we asked the Civil Aviation Authority to do something, and they developed advisory circular at the time, which is in place, and then they are developing the policy to regulate drones, and they must be regulated because, like I said some time ago, a friend of mine was fiddling with his drone around the barracks in Asokoro, and at about 500 feet above the ground, and with about 150 kilometers per hour speed, and he lost control. Now imagine, and till tomorrow he hasn't seen the drone. Imagine he's flying it near or around the vicinity of an airport. That could spell doom and danger. So we are regulating, we will regulate, but it will be friendly regulation that NTA is coming up with. And once it is in place, it will be shared, you know, but as at this time, as we speak, there is an advisory circular on drones. So Nigeria actually took lead in the Committee of Nations.
Okay. Okay, let's come over to the Chief Executive Officer of the Accident Investigation Bureau, AIB. Mercifully, Nigerians would really appreciate that in recent times, Nigeria has not had to face what it had been through some years back when planes were virtually dropping out of the sky, so to speak. But then issues raised about lessons learned from, the past. And some people have asked, whatever happened to the reports of investigations carried out? Do they ever see the light of day? Do we draw lessons from them?
Thank you very much for that question. You have to permit me to start introducing AIB. AIB was established via the Act, Civil Aviation Act 2006, and our mandate to carry out investigation, to investigate accident and serious incidents in accordance with ICAO Next 13. Since inception, AIB has released 39 reports till date. Out of that 39 reports, since the commencement of this administration, we've released 21 out of that 39. That is 52% work done since inception of AIB. And we've released 153 safety recommendations since inception as well. And in the life of this administration, we've done 47.5% of that safety recommendations. You need to understand the safety recommendations are the byproducts of accident investigation. You need to understand what happened, you need to know why it happened, and you need to come up with safety recommendations to prevent future occurrence. And this is why it is very, very important to investigate accident on a timely manner, very professionally done, and in a frank manner, without any bias. And that's...
And no assumption of blames, I think.
And you can't use it.
People say there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. That it's not everything that's investigated that has to be a huge crash or something that's taken life. Sometimes you've had incidents that were barely noticeable to the flying public, but which required, looking into. And how have you coped with that as well?
Well, that's our job. That's what that's our mandate. But you have to understand, if you need to investigate accident, there are a few things you need to have in place. You need to have the right equipment. You need to have the right infrastructure. You need to have the right human capital. You need to have the right regulation in place. You have to have the right systems, processes, and procedures to make this work. And when this administration came in, a very important component part of accident investigation, which is the flight safety lab, was not functioning. It's been there for years and wasn't functioning. And that was the first thing we did when we came in, to reactivate this lab, to ensure this lab works. We've invested so much in human capital. Now our investigators works with the likes of the US NTSB, like works with the Singapore, on an OJT, hands-on experience. It's not just about classroom experience, but we need to be sure they have the right tool to work. In terms of equipment, we invested so much in that. We have a goal kit. There's so many things we have in place right now that is helping our job. Now, back to what you said in terms of how do we deal with, we call them serious incidents. And we work more of a back end. The public don't see what we do, they don't see how we do it. But if you go on our website, you see all the reports that we've released. Some dated back 2004. We just released an accident that happened in 2004, some in 2007. So we do that, and then we release it via our website. Now we've created an app, which is it's free to the world. You can download it on iOS and Google, Android, and then that you can report the public can actually report an accident to us. That's bringing closer the public to us. That's simplifying our processes in terms of reporting. And then you get an alert. When we release any report, you get an alert on your phone. And then you can read it.
So I think the important thing on that, if you permit me, the important thing is that once there is an incident or accident, promptly the right thing is done, and it's investigated, and the public are informed, and the aviation community is aware, and whatever needs to be done to correct it is done. I give you two examples. You know, when we had the incidents of Dana, when upon landing, the door fell into the cabin. Right. And there was a lot of hues and cries. Rightly so. You know, the passenger needs to. But right there, we thought that it must be investigated and find out what actually happened so that it will be prevented from happening. I remember people calling that we should seize the license of Dana, close shops, and so on and so forth. But you see, in accident investigation or in aviation, if you remember the British Airways, the windshield of British Airways popped out in flight, not on landing, in flight, and it sucked the pilot out. The other pilot and the cabin crew pulled him in, and the second pilot flew the aircraft and landed. And they didn't take the license of British Airways away. They investigated and found out why, and then they prevented it. Also, I remember Aloha over the Amazons. There was structural fatigue failure. The skin of the 737 that was flying there got torn off, and it sucked passengers with their seats out. And they didn't see the license. They investigated and found out. It's like a post-mortem. So we would appeal to public that whatever needs to be done, once an airline has erred and their license deserves to be revoked, we will revoke, we will take it away. But there is a procedure for that. Recently, we have denied Semdana their license back because we weren't happy until when we were sure that they are safe to continue into flight. So, so public should be kind enough to allow time for professionals to do their job, and meanwhile to trust that this government with integrity will do the right thing as always.
All right, Minister, we're just about at the final lap of this program. But certainly what many people would want to hear from you is Nigeria Air.
Nigeria Air. Yeah. Nigeria is, of course, like we said, we had to temporarily, because I used the word interim in my tweet, that it has been suspended in the interim, which means it will continue. This Nigeria Air, we thought in the very beginning that for everything that we need, for the aviation to grow, and for us to create the hub, for us to provide the service, you know, we needed this Nigeria Air. And it has been always on the agenda of Mr. President. So he takes it very personal, and he's committed to it. From 2003 till now, I'm sure wherever he goes, he talks about that. We used to have Nigeria Airways, and we don't have it, and it's true. But we thought differently. We thought that it should be PPP that would deliver the best airline that will give the needed service in Nigeria. And going through PPP, it takes time. One, you need to appoint a transaction advisor. This is according to the ICRC regulation, which is the institution that is required to regulate concessions, or PPPs, as it were. So we went through all the process to appoint the transaction advisor, gave him the job to produce the outline business case, upon which we would continue to establish the FBC, the full business case, and establish the airline. So that has been done. The OBC is in place, and we launched the airline. People ask questions, why did we have to launch it in Farnborough at the air show? Because they don't know what Farnborough is. They thought we just went to London because we love the city of London to launch it there. Farnborough, as an air show, it brings about all the airplane manufacturers from whom we may ask for aircraft or lease aircraft from. It brings about the entire aviation market. So the visibility there cannot be equaled. And having said so, the airline is intended to be both domestic and international. So we need to make the statement that this airline is coming, which they have been waiting for. Well, the thing is, and I really want to make some sense out of all of this. Even though I promise you one-on-one, where we'll discuss, and then I also explained in our various stakeholder meeting why we had to suspend it. But it's coming back. Let me reassure Nigerians, and very soon.
Right. The big question Nigerians would ask is, well, it's a temporary stall, and they say, has Nigeria, as has been suggested, lost huge sums of money as a result of that?
No. This is very funny, really. I mean, Nigeria lost nothing.
Right.
Nigeria, I read on Twitter and I read on Facebook and all social media, some people say, this Rika, come and explain the 1.2 billion naira that you spent on Nigeria Air, come and spend the $8.8 million that you spent on Nigeria. These are all lies. These are all things that I think is coming from some imagination of some people. The total amount of money spent, I said it and I kept saying it, is the only monies that were given to transaction advisory services, which went through due process and approved by Federal Executive Council. And the entire money, for the transaction advisory services for this particular procurement, was 350 million, all of it. And all has not been paid. And they've been providing the service. We've not been finished. And as for the branding of the airline, as it were, to create the necessary hype to welcome the new airline that's coming to Nigeria, was 40 million naira. Even all that has not been paid. But Nigerians began to say so. And I told them, look, that once there is freedom of information in place, they can ask for any document. We are above board. They can ask for any document, it will be given to them. The whistleblower, my friend, good friend, George Ubo, whom I have never met, I only met him during the last stakeholder meeting because I sent him a personal note to please attend this stakeholder meeting and ask the questions. And we will prove to him that there is no money taken from anybody and spent anywhere. We are not giving any $8.8 million, neither are we giving for 1.2 billion naira. We haven't seen it. It's 40 million naira for this branding and 350 million for the transaction advisory services. Naira, sorry, for TA services, which has not even been paid fully. And the services are still being provided. So people, they can, we're living in this social media age, and we suffer from it.
All right.
But Nigerians are free. No, I have to say this. Nigerians are free as far as air transportation is concerned, aviation sector is concerned. They can come any day, knock on our doors and ask for our books, and the books will be open, and they have a right to do so. There's Freedom of Information Act.
Okay, so as we round off, Captain Kikutu, what's the next stage? It's the same question we asked before. What's the next level in airspace management? What are we looking at?
Well, I've said in the past that everything in life is dynamic.
Right.
And we definitely see improvements coming. This administration has made significant effort such that even projects that were left in the doldrums in the past are being worked on. And I can give you two straight examples. I think in 2009, a contract was given for the automation of the aeronautical information system. It was more or less left in the cold. When this is fully achieved, it will improve communications network. It will improve pilot briefings and information, and we're very close to achieving the totality of that. I expect that before this year runs out, definitely. And also again, I think it was in 2012 that another contract was given that was not consummated. The multilateration in the Gulf of Guinea, and that will be able to identify low-flying airplanes. Yeah. Again, it's in the front burner. It will give us the opportunity to see low-flying airplanes and also bring in information that might be needed to fight any incursions into our airspace.
Okay. Well, back to the civil aviation regulator, the next level. What can we look at in the next?
Well, more of safety, security, and customer satisfaction. However, I just want to add a bit on the unmanned aerial vehicle.
Yes.
We are looking at the possibility of deployment of drone shields to protect the airlines operating into the airport.
Okay.
Using technology.
All right, but do you have a regulation in place restricting activities of unmanned vehicles around the airport?
Yes, it's all included in the advisory circular, and the full regulation will soon be adopted.
All right. Well, Minister,
sorry.
Yes.
If I may quickly add this, excuse me, Honorable Minister. I think one thing that before the end of this administration definitely is going to be a response to what Nigerians have been what the pilots have been clamoring for.
Okay.
We will see the advent and the putting in place of Category 3 ILS systems in Nigeria. We'll definitely see that. So I think we'll finally answer the craving of Nigerians for an ILS Category 3.
All right. Well, final word from the Minister of State Aviation.
Well, next level is, like you said, the Cat 3. What it does is it allow you to land in poor visibility where 0-0 landing is possible, meaning that you can't see anything. Blindfolded, you can touch the ground. We're trying to achieve that in a couple of months in Abuja and Lagos for sure. But just to say that there is this aerospace university that we're partnering with some countries and ICAO as well to treat the issues of governance in airlines that cause them to fizzle out, and also to go into research and development for the future to be able to build airplanes in Nigeria. And finally, if I may say that we paid part of the Nigeria Airways sovereign's allowance. The balance is coming soon as the budget is passed, and the second would be given. We assure them that's one. And perhaps finally to also say that President Buhari has approved the zero duty on aircraft and spares, and which of course is a succor for airline operators and will help see a better and smoother air transportation that is cheaper and affordable. And finally, to thank you and also to say please do indulge me this one-on-one, where I'm sure people will come with a phone-in program and spend more hours to talk about aviation.
Certainly, we would keep an eye on that, and we would do more on developments in the aviation industry. For now, we'll have to leave the conversation here, and thank you very much. Minister of State Aviation, Senator Hadi Sirika, thank you for coming in. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Cyril.
And big thank you also to Captain Mukhtar Shoaib Usman, Director General, Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
Our thanks also to Akin Olateru, CEO, Accident Investigation Bureau. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And thanks also to Captain Fola Akiko, to MD, Nigeria Airspace Management Agency, NAMA. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Right. And thank you to you two for being part of this program. Next week we'll reach you again on NTA Tuesday Live. I'm Cyril Stober. Bye for now.